I'm back. Hello, media lovers. My name is Maya, but you can just call me Mediahead. I'm back in a completely different time zone. Just so everyone's up to speed, I've recently moved to California because I was sick of all my job searches looking like this. And wanted it to look more like this. Thank you so much for hiring me to work on America's Got Talent Season 17. It's just a great honor. It's gonna be great working with you guys. I was just wondering who recommended me for this position because you mentioned that someone said that I'd be a perfect fit for this job. Kevin? Oh, okay. I'll be sure to thank him. Just again, thank you so much for hiring me. I'll see you guys on Monday. Looking forward to working with you. Who the hell's Kevin? And now I have this mythical thing called work-life balance, and I've decided that now's the time to start recording things again. So in trying to come up with what I'd come back with, I turned to the media that I've been consuming lately, and I remembered a piece of media that's inescapable, even outside of the anime community: Spy Family. Just so everyone's up to speed, Spy Family follows a spy who only consistently goes by Twilight, who's been tasked with making sure a cold war between his home country Vestalia and their neighbor Ostania doesn't turn hot. In order to do that, he needs to keep an eye on Vestalia's Nationalist Party's leader. Problem! It's the vaguely defined 1960s Europe, and Ostania is a fascist regime. So, single 30-somethings are deemed so suspicious that people are literally getting arrested over it, including several of Twilight's fellow female agents. So he needs to find a child and wife to blend into society. He finds a kid in an orphanage who coincidentally loves spy media named Anya, not that he's going to tell her that he is a spy, he's not stupid. And later meets a woman named Yor, a 27-year-old civil servant who's down to marry him no questions asked due to the aforementioned crackdown on single 30-somethings. Here's the thing though, Yor is hiding her own secret. She's worried about getting arrested not only because that's essentially a death sentence in this country, but because if they did, there's a high likelihood of them figuring out that she is secretly the infamous assassin known as Thorn Princess. Also, while Yor and Lloyd Forger, as Twilight has dubbed himself, are trying to keep each other from learning the other's secret, Anya knows both of her new parents' secrets because she's secretly a runaway from a secret government facility that gave her psychic powers. And since she's 4, she finds her new parents' secret identities more awesome than dangerous. God, I love anime. And while I could treat this anime like every other piece of individual media I've covered on this channel so far, I'm not gonna do that, because I don't wanna. Instead, I decided to focus on an element of this anime that I think partially explains why it's so good. And that element is contrast. Contrast is such a huge aspect of Spy Family's identity that shows up as early as the ads. While the same element doesn't seem to appear in the original manga's cover designs, the key visuals leading up to Spy Family's anime release immediately show the contrast in the show. There's these two usually shown side by side, which reveal the alternate faces the family puts on, and its arguably most famous poster, showing the contrast between the loving father Lloyd and the stone-cold Twilight, the bubbly Yor and the ruthless Thorn Princess, and the excitable Anya, reacting to the secrets that only she knows. And while Anya's expression here is absolutely hilarious, this poster overall shows the main way that this show likes to use contrast: mood. All of these key visuals have themes of dark versus light, hard shadows versus flat or soft shadows, elements that tend to contrast in, say, slice of life and noir or even horror. This sudden change in mood or tone, depending on what the show's doing at the time, shows up as early as the first minute of the show. The first thing we're shown is a dude dying in a car crash, then we're told it was a political assassination and that two countries are on the brink of war and that some guy named Twilight will deal with it, and then immediately after absorbing all that information we're hit with
約束のものだ。外務大臣がズラだという証拠写真。
What? We get decked with both moods, learning that the show simultaneously isn't afraid to show literal murder on screen, and then hear something so cartoonishly stupid, and yet sounds like something that would happen in real life. What's even weirder is that that's not even the end of that gag. Later in that exact same episode, about that same prime minister, we get this.
ボス、ズラはもう諦めた方が。
政治には透明性が大切だ。ズラは良くない。
Is this funny? Is it disturbing? Trick question. It's both. The first episode flips back and forth between lighthearted moments and dark and serious ones that you expect from a show with spy in the title. But once we get to episode 2, mainly after we learn what Yor's deal is, the show seems to lean more into the family side of things. Episode 2 is all about Yor and Lloyd meeting and getting engaged in the most them way possible. Episode 3 is all about the newly christened Forger family going out on a family outing. Excuse me, Anya, ooting, and falling more into their family roles. And episode 4 is all about the Forgers surviving the rigorous interview process to get Anya into a prestigious school that Lloyd's target son is going to. Hold up. What? How did we get here? Let's rewind. So, one thing I left out about Lloyd's mission. The Nationalist Party leader who he's trying to keep an eye on only ever comes out for his son's school events. So, for this mission to succeed, Anya essentially needs to get into the same school as his son. The school in question has an intense interview process that we spend most of episode 4 going through, with shenanigans galore. Another thing to know specifically about Anya is that she's very formal when speaking about her adoptive parents on Lloyd's request. In the Japanese, Yor and Lloyd are haha and chichi, a very formal way of addressing your parents in Japanese from what I can tell, and in the English dub, they're mama and papa. During the interview, one of the interviewers, who we learn is a legacy hire who's still bitter over his recent divorce and is taking it out on everyone around him, cruelly asks Anya who she prefers, Yor or her biological mother. And a second after Lloyd considers what makes children orphans, Anya cries, eyes wide in shock, and can only utter one word. In the Japanese, mama, and in the English, mommy. And after letting out all of your rage at this asshole who gets his kicks on making a literal child cry, it hits you. Anya ran away from a government facility. She's a little girl who's been experimented on. What did happen to her parents? When Lloyd's informant went looking for information about Anya, all he could find were records of her in orphanages a year prior, after she ran away. So was Anya taken from her biological parents? If so, then it must have been very recently in her life since she still remembers her mother. So are they working in the facility? Are they trapped in the facility? It hits you all at once that this is a little girl who's been through just as much trauma as her parents. These are all questions we could have and probably should have been asking throughout this entire show up to this point, but the show purposely made us forget to ask them. And how did they do that? By making us love Anya, this curious, completely realistic 4-year-old who uses her psychic powers in ways you'd expect a 4-year-old to use them. The show makes us love her by showing her on a good day with her new family, only to remind us that she is a traumatized child who jumped at the chance to be adopted by a spy. It makes your heart break because it's so shocking, That hurts more than if they had been reminding you of this over and over up to this point. And it makes the next minute when Lloyd leaps over the table to attack the interviewer who dared make his daughter cry, while simultaneously reminding himself he should be staying calm for the mission, that much sweeter. And while the way I've described this suggests that this is the first time this happened in the show, it isn't. It's just the very first in-your-face moment. The family outing from episode 3 includes the Forgers attending an Austanian nationalist rally, since instilling patriotism is a huge part of Austanian culture, and Anya psychically picks up on thoughts of murdering everyone in Westphalia, thinking everyone who's against a war is a traitor, and how one member of the audience recently lost everything, though which government he blames is unclear. Episode 2 has Yor's co-workers muttering about how Yor is so antisocial they think that she's a spy sent to lower their birth rates, and one of them, jealous that Yor is pretty, basically, even suggests reporting her just on that rumor alone. And this is just the first 4 episodes. That's not even getting into when we meet Yor's brother Yuri, who we learn is a member of the secret police, and we watch him torture someone on screen, only to later see him drunk and screaming about how Lloyd can't possibly be good enough for Yor. And then we also learn that he's a member of the secret police because he thinks it's the best way to keep Yor safe. This is the same episode, mind you, where we learn through a comedic flashback that Yor and Yuri grew up dirt poor and probably orphans, and it strongly suggested that Yor became an assassin at a very young age because she wanted to keep Yuri safe and unbothered. The show's insane, but that re-emphasizes my point. Spy Family has this beautiful contrast of dark and light, of disturbing and hilarious, because it helps make you love this family. Once you're comfortable watching them just do crazy, funny antics, they remind you that these are fundamentally broken people, unwittingly putting the pieces of their lives back together through each other. Every moment of Lloyd's congratulating Anya or reassuring Yor she's a good wife is emphasized when we realize he's unwittingly becoming the mask. Remember, Lloyd Forger is a fake name. He gave up his real legal name years ago. But he's starting to like the name Lloyd. Maybe he can allow himself to like an actual name again. Every funny moment with Yor clearly not understanding how social cues work somehow becomes more adorable when you realize it's because she spent her formative years killing so she could put food on the table. It makes you root for her more when you remember that she's socially stunted and trying her best now that she's an adult. And watching Anya be an overconfident, smart-mouthed child is even more precious when you realize that she wasn't always able to act like that. And that she's now finally getting the chance to be a child with this new family. Obviously, contrast isn't the only thing that makes Spy Family work, and it's not even close to the first piece of media to even bother trying it. I mean, sitcoms have been doing that kind of thing for decades. But I think Spy Family is as well regarded as it is because of the inherent contrast the title suggests. The seriousness of spy movies crossed with slice-of-life family dynamics. But instead of a show or a manga that seeks to make fun of and parody spy media, like I think we were all expecting when we started, we get this instead. And I think that's good. My God, you do not know how satisfying this was to make. I've had so many strong opinions about this show, and I just need to let some of them out. I cannot believe we need to wait for months until the dog gets added to the family, who I'm pretty sure can see into the future. I don't want spoilers if I'm right or wrong, but I hear that the arc that they're adapting next is a favorite amongst manga readers, so I'm assuming it's gonna be worth the wait. It's so good to be back. Okay, so hopefully I'll be able to go back to recording and uploading videos once a month. Admittedly, this isn't at the top of my priority list, but I still love doing this. I still love this channel. So hopefully I'll be able to just get things out. I have a lot more opinions and there's a whole lot more media to consume and talk about. So I just want to get back into this and have a lot more fun on YouTube. I'm a grown adult who has to get stuff done, but I told you last time, I'm not abandoning this channel. I'm happy I got to keep my word on that. I'll see you in a bit, media lovers.